Welcome to Common Sense Coalition Talk Radio, where you'll find straight talk from people with good old common sense.
I trust your opinion.
And now, for your host, she's putting sense back into nonsense.
Absolute insanity.
Well, you can hear me on the radio. You want to turn me on, turn on your stereo. You can sing along while they're playing our song. How you done me wrong, baby, crank it up.
And now, your host, Beth Ann.
And I welcome you today to CSC Talk Radio. It is my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to be here with you today. You know, you never know what direction I'm going to go in. And my buddy standing here, he says, sometimes even after you get started, we don't know what direction you're going to go. But I was thinking yesterday, and of course, there's so much going on. And, you know, while we've got this caravan coming up, and this is really serious. And we have the November election coming up, which is really, really serious. And we have the assaults that are going on against Republicans, which is very serious. Some of the left are more concerned about Disney princesses. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But as I was, you know, sometimes I pay attention in church. I really do. If my preacher's watching this, I do pay attention, even though sometimes I may tweet something out while I'm paying attention. But during the service yesterday, I got to thinking, you know, God never loses. It doesn't matter what happens. He never loses. Now, he might allow you to lose or even leave you to the consequences of your sin or bad choices, teaching you a lesson, hopefully, if you'll give up your stubbornness long enough to see the truth of things. It says in Psalms 81:12, so I gave them up unto their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsels. I don't know about you, but I'm not always my best counsel at times, because you know, the world says to follow your heart. The Bible says the heart will get you in trouble. So my point is that God never loses. We might, but he does not. In our hearts, we might question. There is no tragedy that will shock him off his throne. He is in complete charge. Why then are we in such a mess? Why does he allow evil leaders, greedy leaders? Why does he allow disease? Why does he allow all these bad things? Well, I believe it is, well, first of all, the diseases and things that we have are because we're living in a broken world. But I believe it is because of that personal choice and will that he allows us to have. So we make these choices. Next thing you know, we got trouble. We have an obligation, a duty to our children, our grandchildren, and the future generations of this nation. What do we do to make a difference? To teach the children, to nurture? Do we as a people take haphazardly the attitude of our children, rearing our children, our youth? We like to blame it on others, blame it on those institutions. But who's in charge of those institutions? I believe we do take things a little too apathetic. I believe many of us have been lazy and left the teaching of our children to public schools and others. If the public school doesn't teach our history, you can. If the public school doesn't teach creation, you can. You are the foundation. You, the home, is the source of truth and knowledge, or it should be, of common sense, of hard work, and yes, teach them that life isn't fair. You are the ones that can teach equality. If schools don't allow prayer, public prayer, you can still teach your child to pray and the importance of prayer. We have an obligation. We, the people, are the ones that hold the responsibilities for this mess. This nation is now experiencing a mess, and it's we, the people. We can blame everyone else, but it is us. And it didn't just happen. We've been kind of like Jack and Jill. They went up that hill and then they fell down. One tumble at a time. We get to the bottom of this hill and we're dizzy and confused and we're pointing at everyone else. But God never loses. He didn't lose when Cain killed Abel. He didn't lose when Joseph was sold into slavery and later imprisoned falsely for sexual assault or rape. He can, however, and does, however, use our sin, our evil, and turn it around for his good. What man made for evil, God will make good. What did you think of the pastor Andrew Brunson, when he was released and he came to President Donald Trump and he laid hands on our president and prayed over him and for him? We saw very little about this in the media, but that doesn't make it less real or less important. Today I want to talk about victories. I want to talk about losing and winning. I want you to think about this nation and God and your responsibility in it all. I met a man this weekend, a young man. He was selling stuff. And he handed me his card, and I said, well, let me give you a card. Sometimes you don't know whether you should whip that card out or not, you know. And we talked a little, very little. We didn't talk even 10 minutes, I don't think, 15. And he asked me, well, what's the answer? He said, our nation's a mess. And I pointed at him and I told him, you are the answer. And he said, my generation will have to fix it. But they're all stupid liberals falling for the lies. I thought that was interesting. Of course, he's standing there in jeans and a plaid shirt and a cowboy hat. So he's from Poplar Bluff. So if you're listening in Poplar Bluff, we're out there. November is coming. And it is job evaluation day. The Dems no longer deserve your vote. They have proved themselves to be disloyal to the very Constitution that they take an oath to uphold. It's a breach of contract. We talked about covenants in Sunday school yesterday. Covenants. They made a covenant with we the people, and they're breaking it. It's time to fire them, replace them, give somebody else a chance, but don't give them an inch. The Dems are loyal, and so are the Republicans, but the Dems are loyal to money and to power. There's a caravan coming to invade this nation. Plain and simple, that's what it's about. It was planned, and it was paid for by the Dems and the very wealthy old white guys like Soros and the Koch brothers. Make no doubt about it, it is not a coincidence that this caravan is coming right before election in November. The feminists want to rule. They are selfish. They don't teach about serving. The Lord told us to serve other people. He served. He didn't act like a king. And now they hate Disney and the princess movies because it portrays women as weak and they need a male to rescue them. In some cases, a very rich male to rescue them. Yeah, some of us do need that. What is your favorite fairy tale? Mine was, when I was a little girl, was Beauty and the Beast. I liked the story of Beauty and the Beast. Let's look at the victories and the losses. And let's look at the responsibilities that we have in it all. It is a heavy burden at times, but certainly not the commitment our founding fathers made when they pledged their lives, their futures, and their sacred honors. What are you willing to pledge? Wow, how was that for timing? 877-895-5410. Want to talk about some victories and some victories that we could have, and maybe our own Joseph that got a victory in a mild sort of way, but a victory nonetheless. I want to talk about that. I had that for last week, and I've been holding it, and we're going to talk about it today. What is your favorite fairy tale? Do you dislike the princesses? 877-895-5410. I always like a happy ending. If it doesn't have a happy ending, I won't watch it. And we will be right back.